Hello, everyone. My name is Brittney Mata, and this is the Facilitator Guide to a Student-Centered Model of Blended Learning. Let's begin with what it's not. So, we all have experienced or know someone who is a teacher of a one-size-fits-all approach. That's where there are no student choices and where the teacher just leads every activity. We might be trained in this way, however, it's not the best for student centered learning. The sage on the stage is another one. We need to let go of that whole group direct instruction so that we can develop more of a system for independent students. And then the teacher regulated classroom is what it's not. It's not up to the teacher to determine when the students are ready for an extended activity or a new challenge. It's up to the student to decide on their own and work at their pace until they feel ready to dive into that deeper level. Now that we know what blended learning is not, this is redefining the teacher role. So, blended learning does allow teachers to personalize learning experiences in so many different ways. Before we go into that to do list of how to personalize and kind of gear your lessons towards student centered learning, these are some requirements of your classroom. These are ingredients so that your lessons can be student centered. The first one is to classify your lessons. So, kind of go through the scope and sequence of your curriculum and determine which are those skills and content that they must be able to do to move on to the next grade level. Essentially, I know that TEA and Lead Forward have a document that are kind of like that, those foundational skills. So these are documents that can be found, or you can determine that with your PLC, or if you are a singleton, just kind of go through and determine the essential skills. Then you can provide that next tier, which is the should do, which is more of the practice and the nice to know. And then the aspire to do are those skills that extend the knowledge. The self paced is another aspect of a blended learning, student centered environment, so that students are able to complete tasks at a customized speed. Not everyone learns the same way and at the same pace. And so being able to kind of move along the skills and the tasks at their own pace and comfort level really does speak to a student centered approach. Lastly, the mastery based aspect is kind of really tied into the self paced because mastery based gives students time to revise their work. So just because you got a 70 on a mastery check or a test doesn't mean that you're stuck with it. This really enhances the growth mindset and gives students multiple opportunities to be reassessed and to kind of practice and try again so that they can actually master the content. Last but not least, we're going to go ahead and talk about 4 key things that you can do today to start creating a student centered learning experience. This is how to facilitate the learning in the student centered classroom. The first and foremost thing would be to build your own instructional videos. We talked a little bit before about how we're not the sage on the stage and we're not providing that whole group instruction. So, how do kids get that foundational knowledge? Well, you can multiply yourself by creating video. Remember, those videos have to be within a certain time limit. They fulfill certain requirements to be highly effective, but that also takes practice. Don't be overwhelmed. You can do it. You can multiply yourself so that you can stop lecturing and you can actually spend some time with individual students and small groups. The second thing on your to-do list would be to create a public and individual pacing tracker. These are visualizations for the effort your students are showing. The public one could be, with avatars or student IDs or if they're comfortable. And then the individual pacing tracker is more like that one-on-one feedback where you can have them either record their grade or you can make notes on your conferences and progress. The third thing would be to set up your seating options. So if it's a student-centered learning environment, then the students would be able to determine if they want to work with a partner or a small group, if they want to collaborate. Also, if you're free to meet with small groups, you'll need that area to pull them in. And so, just setting up different flexible seating options really does accommodate the needs of your students and is able to differentiate in that way. The fourth thing is to rethink your grading policy. Standards based and mastery based grading is a lot different than a traditional grade book. And so you can think about those must do lessons that you classified earlier and consider a soft zero grading policy, which is just a zero as a placeholder. So you do have like a suggested pacing, whether they work ahead or behind that, but there needs to be some accountability somehow for those must do lessons. And so as you're working along, if they're not completing those, a soft zero just means it's a placeholder until they get to that point. All right, these are just some ideas. Thank you so much for listening. Sources are from Cult of Pedagogy and Edutopia articles. And thank you so much.